Give us a sense of what you think the people around Prime Minister Netanyahu are feeling right now in the wake of this speech. Do you think that they feel as though they pulled this thing off?
I think they're feeling very satisfied. I think that all the lines, the language was what they wanted, and it made an impression on the chamber. You could see there were 26 standing ovations, although it was very interesting to watch some of the Democrats, like Nancy Pelosi, kind of looking around and saying, well, should I stand up or not? Still, I think, yes, I think he's happy with the performance today.
Jonathan, what's your sense of whether the Prime Minister's government, Prime Minister himself, believes there will be a deal struck? And if there is a deal struck, how aggressive they will be in renewing its denunciation and trying to kill the deal?
I think the sense is that there is going to be a deal, that he's going to continue to speak out against it, but there isn't much that he can do besides to feed the opposition to it and to make an argument that Israelis agree with him that Iran presents a huge threat.
Jonathan, how aware and how much do you think it matters to the people around the Prime Minister that this speech has been as controversial as it has been? Do they just think that the value that they get out of it is so great that they're willing to take the pain for the controversy they've caused?
Absolutely. I think they've gamed this out over weeks. Netanyahu and his U.S. ambassador, Ron Dermer, are political pros, both in the Israeli and the U.S. arenas. So they knew this would happen, and they decided to take the risk to throw a Hail Mary.
Do us a favor while we have you here in the U.S. Handicap the election for us. March 17th, the Prime Minister seeking a fourth term. It appears from the public polling that things may be tightened up a bit and that there is a chance he will lose. How do you handicap the race right now?
Well, I'm really going to go out on the line and say it's going to be close. But in Israeli elections, you don't know on election night. Even if his party, the Likud party, wins 20, 23, 24 seats, that's 1/6 of the parliament, and he has to form a coalition with other smaller parties. So it's going to take another month, even 2 or 3 months, to figure out who comes out on top.
And let me just ask you, if there is a change in government, and if Chaim Herzog becomes, or Mr. Herzog becomes Isaac Herzog, becomes the prime minister, what would he do regarding a deal with Iran?
He says flat out that he opposes a deal with Iran. He says that he's going to make his observations, his criticism, privately to the president. But there is no support for this deal, or very little in Israel. And there's a lot of animosity toward President Obama.
Okay, Jonathan Ferziger, thank you so much. We appreciate it. I want to go back up to Capitol Hill and talk to Peter Cook, our colleague who's there. Peter, there's been a willingness to hold off on sanctions. Democrats, even with few exceptions, have been willing to listen to the White House. How quickly will this sanctions effort, do you think, ramp up if the deal collapses? What kind of sanctions are we talking about that would be put on in addition to the ones that are on now?
Well, I think there's going to be intense pressure to ramp up. You know, there are a lot of members of Congress, Mark, who were skeptical about this deal to begin with. Democrats and Republicans, particularly ones in prominent positions dealing with foreign policy issues. And I think after this speech, those people are going to feel emboldened to challenge this deal even more. And I think you're going to hear from Robert Menendez of New Jersey, for example, Democrat on the Foreign Relations Committee. Watch him to be a sort of a litmus test, a gauge as to whether or not he feels compelled to go even more strongly against his own administration and to push for tougher sanctions. I think he's a key player to watch, along with Bob Corker as well. And I think they will feel pressure. You know, the image that I have is watching Benjamin Netanyahu get those standing ovations from both Democrats and Republicans in that chamber. What happens when John Kerry comes here and tries to sell that deal to those same lawmakers? It's hard for me to imagine that John Kerry gets the same kind of reaction Bibi Netanyahu just got. Very intention, of course, of Prime Minister Netanyahu had as part of the mission to come and give this talk. Quickly go to Phil Mattingly at the White House. Phil, what does the administration do now that they've sort of stood by and withstood Netanyahu giving the speech? What is their next step beyond the talks?
I think they're going to have to come out forcefully. I think they were very pleased with Susan Rice's speech at AIPAC yesterday. I thought she made a great case, even appreciated the response that they got from an audience that wasn't necessarily friendly to a lot of what she was saying. But that was a very strong, almost powerful speech by Bibi Netanyahu, and I think the administration is going to have to try and counter that, both on the substance of the negotiations, but also Netanyahu's ability to try and undercut kind of the two crucial arguments the president's been making about why this deal should be pursued.